Welcome to the Past Life Project. I'm Monique, hypnotherapist and regression specialist. Let me bring you into my world where just another day in the office is not your typical desk job. In each episode, we will be delving into the extraordinary realm of past lives through my own therapy practice, client stories and interviews, and conversations with practitioners that are utilizing past lives as a powerful modality for healing. Tune in to find out how people just like you are healing from a range of physical, emotional, and spiritual issues by exploring their previous incarnations. Are you ready to dive into the future of therapy? It's time to turn back time with the Past Life Project. Welcome to the Past Life Project podcast. I'm your host, Monique, hypnotherapist and regression therapy specialist. And on today's episode, I have Emilie Janda, AKENA, who is a consciousness explorer and guide who bridges the ancient with the quantum to help you unlock and embody your divinely human blueprint. Direct channel to the 9 white sisters of Atlantis, the Galactics, she facilitates the keys to sovereign ascension, empowering you to heal, transform, and consciously create your reality. Welcome, Emilie. I am so excited to have you here today and to dive deep into all of this and what it means and what you are creating in the world. Very, very excited to have you here.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you. I'm excited to be here with you, and I'm looking very much forward to explore whatever you want to explore with me.
Yes. Well, I know we've been chatting a little bit off recording about all the interesting work you do and possible topics that we could talk about. And I wanted to, just start with how did you get started in this work, and how did these past lives that you lived, how did they influence what you're bringing into your work right now?
Yes. So we are jumping directly into the past lives. I can see it.
Yes. Just jump right off the deep end, right?
Yes. Let's not stay in the now. Let's go to the past, which, by the way, for me, the past and future is really, I'm living increasingly more in what today we could call the quantum, in the sense of sometimes I don't really know what is what. As for me, the past lifetimes are very important, which they have been shaping the lifetime here in this era, in the one who is called Emilie, with her earthly name. And they have influenced my doings significantly. Already as a child, I had past lifetimes recall and memories, and I remember maybe age 5, 6, I had visions of certain drawings. I would today say maybe it looked like Leonardo da Vinci sketches of patterns, certain kind of inventions. And I was just 5, 6 years old. I didn't really know what it meant, but it was so vivid and I knew it was important. I couldn't really attach any meaning to that time. And there were many others, visions and intuitions coming in as child. Later on, I was drawn into past life regression, still very young, actually. I understood intuitively that, past lives are not that past. And today I can see it. I'm 58. So I can see that what happened in the early stages of this current lifetime, it feels like past life for me as well. Certain aspects I just don't remember. I have moved countries and I've changed situations, relationships and work, and I have always challenged myself into new adventures. So some past adventures, I could describe them as past life. So again, this is when I started understand a little bit the concept of quantum, how we how we live in kind of snapshots of time. That explained what I feel with past lifetimes. So yes, but the juicy past lifetimes, like in other centuries, they were, of course, they are the fun ones. And the most significant one I started recalling not so long time ago, actually, is the one in Atlantis, and where I was one of the 9 white sisters of Atlantis, which were called half humans, half gods, which in my language means extraterrestrials. And we were having that enormous task of coding human bodies into the state where they could withhold high frequency beingness. So basically adapting our bodies, human bodies, into becoming our highest version. There were many other things we were doing, but this past lifetime was the most significant, which is now affecting me at this moment in time deeply, as I've been always guided by those 9 white sisters of Atlantis, as I was one of them, but they revealed themselves only last year. And now I know why, of course, because it's the right timing. It's the time where I was ready, fully ready to start writing a book, channel the reset, the white light, and so on.
It's very interesting. I think it's safe to say that there is a fascination with Atlantis and that period, and many people that are recalling snippets here and there, and others that are recalling, like you, bigger pictures and more information and what it was like to live there and everything like that. So I think it's really fascinating how it correlates with what other people are doing as far as research now and trying to find actual geographic locations for where Atlantis possibly could be, and combining those two things together, almost in a way when you go into a past life and you start to bring back historical facts and details that you didn't know, and you kind of glue it together to what's happening in the world now. And it's, I don't know, nothing short of mind-blowing when you have those things verified. So I think that's really fascinating. And I'd love to hear more about what you learned about what you were doing at the time, who the 9 white sisters are, how you're channeling them into the work that you're doing now, because you said it's a pretty recent thing, the past year or so.
Yes, it is. So I can see today that I've been always, of course, affected and guided by them. But the reason, I guess, why they haven't really revealed themselves as the 9 white sisters of Atlantis was because I was much more into the quantum field, the quantum physics. My earthly education was in information science, so I was more into that, the sacred geometry, so not so much into otherworldly beings, I would say. I was, of course, attracted to all the stories about those, but I couldn't have imagined that they would reveal themselves as for what they are. And we were, of course, extraterrestrial beings who were one group among many on Earth, seeding and genetically working with the human bodies, with humanity, with the, I would say, positive intention to to really prepare humanness for the best, highest path towards living on Earth, enjoying Earth, learning, experiencing. This is what I always get back to. What I feel is we are here to experience, not so much to learn lessons and so on, but really experience from any possible angle we can, to see how it feels to play certain roles, to be a certain persona. And it's a really fascinating journey for me, the human life. And I really truly believe that whichever pain and suffering we have inflicted upon ourselves is not really, it has not really been planned in that say. I know certain people think we have planned this and falling into forgetting who we really are. Maybe it wasn't really planned. Maybe it happened in the process. So I don't want to be radical of what because when I'm channeling the Night White Sisters of Atlantis, even though I was one of them, and I still am at another level, but here as I'm here as the translator, the human translator, and my understanding and my language is limited to that humanness. So I can't really, and through my experiences. So I am being given specific informations, but the way I'm expressing them, maybe they are not complete in the sense of I don't understand yet other parts. So there is that disclaimer, whatever I channel or any other channel, whatever people channel, is only as true as they can express. Plus, another thing very important, there is, as the quantum physics, say, there is no objective truth.
Yes. That what is true for you and you and you, everyone can hold a different truth.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So this one is very important to remember, I think, for your listeners, that whatever resonates with you in any kind of situation, if it resonates with you deep down, that is your truth. And we can have so much information. We can be really bombarded with a lot of interesting information. But if this information leaves us more confused than clear, then this information is not really useful.
We really do live in an era where there is information everywhere, which is an amazing thing to have access to. But also, like you said, it's like can short circuit you with too many choices, too many options, that your human body and nervous system isn't built with this capacity to hold the world's information. And now, like you said, you're talking about not even here, we're going out to galactic information. So I love that you touch on discernment and coming back to yourself as the compass of, does this feel right or not? And it doesn't mean that this person doesn't know what they're doing or they're not telling the truth, but your truth, you're allowed to have a different truth than the person next to you.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. I loved it. You use the word discernment. And this discernment, more and more, because of that information overload, is really your body. Your body is the antenna to what rings true to you. And again, discernment of what feels right, what resonates in that sense of neutrality, rather than having reaction of fear or excitement. Those two, fear or super excitement, is just just a human way of reacting to certain aspects. But the real kind of truth is in that neutrality, in that knowing, deeper knowing, the resonance. Because the universe is, as we know, neutral. And that's the basic for the reset, the program, and the I don't really want to call it modality, which I'm channeling through the sisters. It's more the returning to remembrance and neutralizing the dualistic parts of us that keep us in suffering and pain.
Can you talk more on that? Because I think that's very fascinating how you talk about neutralizing. And I know we were talking about before neutralizing trauma memories and everything that this is bringing in to the now. I'd love to hear how this process works.
So the reset, okay, so how it came along is, for my human self, it was a little bit frustrating because this summer I started writing the book about the 9 white sisters of Atlantis. I was called into that, and describing each sister and each galactic charge or galactic essence or galactic aspect, which are 9 of them, galactic aspects, and they are being seen as the building aspects, building blocks for our humanness, for human persona, for individuality. And there are 9 of them, and they are different, of course. And the mix which you and I have, is different of these aspects in each individual person. And understanding what do they stand for, where they are being dualized. I don't know if this is a English word, but being in that dualistic form within you is the path to understanding where is the pain or the suffering coming from, because the suffering is based on judgment of something is bad, something is wrong, or something is good, or I want it this way, I don't want it that way. That is what is in the root of suffering, basically. Because if we take life as it is without that judgment, if we accept what is happening to us, either what can be judged as good or judged as bad, and we see it as it is, and we see that it's being presented to us because it makes our life more colorful, we wouldn't suffer. We wouldn't have that pain. We would be observing, we would be riding the wave, knowing that, okay, once we are a little bit higher, then we are maybe lower on that ride, but it's the way it is. So with these 9 aspects, with these 9 galactic emanations, the sister channel, there we are presented to the dualistic aspect in us humans, and then we are infused with the pure aspect of those emanations, undistorted. So I call it as a journey to wholeness. And the people I have, when I say treated, it's the wrong word, I don't have better word, which were through the reset process with me, with us, they not only, so we treat, a specific memory that lingers, could be, for example, shame. So we treat that, and after the reset, people sometimes they don't even remember they have been having that shame in their system. And what is even more, for me at least, surprising, they are reporting other aspects which have been cleared without, us knowing that that would be the side effect. For example, one woman, she said, well, I was walking in the dark. Normally, I'm really scared of the dark, so I wouldn't even go for a walk, but I completely forgot that I'm scared. And I went for a walk in the dark and I went really far. And when I realized that I'm really far from where I would not, I did not have that usual fear response. I just said, oh, that's really nice. And went back home. And this wasn't targeted. This wasn't really treated. So the reset is really fascinating and very, very powerful technology. It's actually, it's only for those who already have done a lot of work. So it's really to resolve, disentangle the lingering aspects of this this trauma memory.
Interesting. I hear a lot with the clients I work with that I've done all of this work. I've done all of this work. I've done all of the things that I'm supposed to do, and yada, 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 yada. And there's still something lingering. And there's this frustration of there's just something out of reach, that I'm stuck in some sort of loop, and I just need this last piece. And I know it's there, but I can't untangle what's happening. So I find that very fascinating, this untangling as you talk about it. And you've already done the work, and now you're just almost like pulling the threads. It sounds like very delicate, specific, just like a clean, like spring cleaning. You're just sweeping out the excess.
Yes, absolutely. And I was that was what happened when I was writing the book about the period, about the sisters, how they appeared. And there is the white light modality they also come with, and so many other things which we used to do in Atlantis. But then I had a client, and there was exactly this. I hear it from many people as well. I've done all this work. Can it be done? And I always heard from my guides. Well, no, because they are always maybe 5% residue of your trauma, because this 5% is entangled in other residues. So you can't really get rid of that in that sense, until the last, surprising maybe moment at some point of your life. And I asked the sisters, the 9 white sisters, so is there a way? There must be a way. This is not okay. It's not enough. It's not good enough for me. And they said, yes, there is. There is, but it's only really for the people who understood their role. They understood their path. They understood, they don't use the word lessons, but they understand the role they play and how they can change those roles. And so for people who are, what I can see more of that acceptance path, and completely out of that victimization path. So they completely take responsibility about their growth and about their beingness as human, and they do want to live further in more joy and a different presence, being present in who they truly are without judging, with full acceptance.
I love that, like that tenacity, that stubbornness, that no, it's not good enough that there's 5%, right? Completely. We need to, there must be a way. It's really fascinating, especially with your background and quantum work. it must be fascinating just to visualize all this entanglement and how everything is connected with each other in this way. I mean, the good and the bad, right? The positive, I guess that's putting, a label on it, but it's the trauma can be entangled, but what other joys can be entangled in there too that are really in our systems that we can recall. It's really, really fascinating stuff.
Yes, and I mean, what is reported is, and what I also feel, because of course I always use whichever modality. Of course, I use myself as the first guinea pig. So what I have noticed, and others have noticed, is this detachment from the emotional detachment. The negative emotional detachment. Usually, what would trigger you, it doesn't trigger you anymore. So you're still living your life, you're still being, introduced to different situations, but you don't judge them anymore in that negative at all. And this is the word they all come back to with me, detachment.
It's interesting. I think of it as a charge sometimes when I'm working with that. You just neutralize this charge, and like you said, you're detached from it. It's not there anymore. It's not like you're erasing the memories or the experiences, because those are very valid and important. It's just detaching that emotional connection to what had happened.
Yes. And what I do is that because I'm always pushing things more efficient or more, better.
Yes. Using yourself as the guinea pig, right? To figure it out. Yes.
So I was not really completely satisfied with just detachment and neutralization, and so I said, well, don't we want also joy? And so I started infusing. So I asked, of course, they say, yeah, of course, that's part of that kind of next step, infusing with the charge of joy and excitement for life, and which we can then do, on daily basis on our own. But it has to be a choice. It has to be a conscious choice. I can stay really nice in neutrality and detachment and just being so in peace and harmony. And that is actually great. It feels so wonderful. And those of us who want joy as well, well, let's infuse some joy in there and then keep infusing it.
That you talk about it being a choice, that it's very much moving out of that victim mindset to you are empowered and you have a choice in all of this. Yeah.
It is.
Beautiful work. And so you're working on this program currently with other clients as well. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So I again I'm channeling this modality. So people, it's a process of 3 sessions, each session with 3 different aspects, galactic aspects, 3 different sisters, white sisters of Atlantis, 333, because first time I tried it on myself, I did the 9 in one go, and I couldn't sleep for 2 days. I was buzzing, I was vibrating, like it was really
Too much.
yeah, too much, not good at all. And so that when I do, and I'm training, in the process of training facilitators to do that, connecting them with 9 white sisters as well, and through them channeling the treatment. But then again, it's just not enough, because it's just limited how many people can actually get that treatment. So I'm writing a book, but that also, I don't know, will probably be published this year. But I have launched a program which starts 24th of February. 9 weeks of the process, 9 weeks with each aspect, each sister per week. It's on Zoom, 2.5 hour call per week. And then, of course, there is a weekly integration space. So this is both a group, but also individual program availability. So this I'm excited about it, because this is suddenly gives the possibility for everybody to go through this. They don't have to book a session with me or a facilitator, but they can do the program. And then when the book is out, then of course it's more even more available. I don't know yet how impactful the book would be with that information, because there is also, of course, energetic transmission in the program and the process when I'm channeling. But I'll make sure that it will be impactful enough, the book as well.
It's a beautiful thing to bring it in different mediums and making it accessible for people across the board, whether they're working one-on-one or group or picking up the book. I love being able to, and different people learning in different ways. Some people, they need that one-on-one work, some reading it on the page and seeing it, the words visually, brings more of a deeper understanding.
Yes, absolutely. Love how you summarize that. Yeah.
So tell me more about, I'm curious about your work in the quantum field as well, too. And I know we were talking about quantum DNA and ancestral trauma as well, and how you've been in that field for a while. I'm curious to learn more about that and what you do and how you've brought that forward into what you're doing right now. I love how you talk about it as like a building block, building foundation slowly to get where you are right now, because I feel like we can get really excited about this stuff too and forget that we are still human and we still do have a human body. And like your experience that you tried to bring in all of this energy all at once in one day, and it was just too much for the human body, so that it's okay to slowly build. So I'm curious to hear about how this all built it up for you and how everything started with the quantum work.
Yes. So I guess it's I've been naturally drawn to the quantum field. Of course, when I was younger, I didn't have much I didn't have the words. But I remember when maybe 6-year-old, I was sitting on a cherry tree and picking cherries and stuffing myself with cherries. And I remember my stomach was so bloated because they were so good, so delicious. And remember that an event which just stayed with me for forever. I started feeling my field. My energy field expanding, but expanding so greatly, it encompassing the tree, and I felt like huge, and it was just the bloated stomach, but I was that tree. I was something else, and I didn't understand what it was, but I was always trying to kind of explain that later on when I had more knowledge, and I was brought up in an atheist family where there was no beliefs, only in science. However, I always felt there is something bigger than that. So for me, the belief was in the greater meaning with the universe. I knew there is a greater meaning, and I was again, very young, calling on the UFOs to come and take me home, because I didn't felt my family was was the best family for me. I'm definitely not meant to be born here. So, it was a mistake. Come and take me back and put me somewhere else. So I was negotiating with the universal order. I just naturally, since childhood, I felt belonging in being a cosmic being. And that was also my escape from my trauma and suffering on as a human child and human being later on. So because I didn't have the God, because my family was more scientific, I was drawn to the miracles in the world and the pyramids and explanations of what are we and why we are here. That question was very early on brought forward with me, and I was searching and reading. I was a real bookworm, reading all sorts of literature about which could give me an answer, and I cherries. I love cherries. So I cherry picked the different information and just putting it together. And sacred geometry, I love geometry, different forms and sounds, and again very early on my path. And together with, and I'm an Aquarius, so naturally I guess I have that sense of freedom and a little bit different way of thinking. Maybe this is how I see other Aquariuses. And I was confronted with one yoga teacher. She was very well known in the circles I was frequenting, and she said, Raja Yoga is the only way to attain awakening, consciousness awakening. And I was young. I shouldn't have said anything, but I couldn't help it. And I just said, I don't agree. I think there are as many ways as there are humans on the earth. And there I knew it's not me speaking. I knew actually that I had to say it, and it wasn't me. I was quite shy, actually. I wouldn't have spoken up. And then she looked at me and, can you explain? And then, some information came through me. Again, it was channeled information. And she looked at me, she said, well, you're right. Well, okay, actually, yes, thank you. Okay, well, then maybe I should put it a different way. And, so we had a conversation. And from that on, I remember I dared to speak more. And every time I did say my truth, it wasn't really me. It was a channeling, through me. And I knew that the connection is instantaneous with whomever is delivering this information. And that's why I started also, looking into that quantum explanations, which was only just to put words on what I was already feeling, that we are interconnected, that we have all the information we need instantaneously when we need it. But because of more scientific background, that was my path. And I wasn't much into other spiritual paths like, angelic, or because of that, I guess. So when the dragons came along, I was quite shocked, because that I didn't expect. And but I had to acknowledge them.
Okay, well, now don't leave me hanging. Go, especially as someone who's lived her life devouring fantasy novels and just feeling this deep resonance with the theme, and always wondering is where the line of reality is and where it blurs. I'm very curious to hear more about how that presented itself.
I love how you put it, line of reality, where it lies. Well, exactly. where it's so individual, the line of reality for each of us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I spend half a day in completely different reality than the reality which we can touch and So, which reality is reality actually?
Don't, right? How do you know what's real and what's not? Only what we tell ourselves is. Yeah.
The beautiful question which so many philosophers and movie makers and authors have been trying to answer. And I feel really again that it's very individual experience. Any kind of quantum jumping on quantum reality, or it's very individual. How can you compare or explain even what you are living or going through, or what's reality for you? And especially when it has to do with dragons. So, so me here, you have me who is working with the quantum on a therapeutic basis, and I teach also Merkaba activation. Oh, Merkaba activation. That was a big turning point for me as well, when I activated my Merkaba and started teaching people as well. That is a big enhancement, I would say, on one's journey. But then the dragons just came in very unexpectedly. It was when I was in a session with someone, and suddenly they said, "Well, I see this dragon. Can you see it too?" And the moment they said it, I saw it too. It was my dragon. But you see, it had to be someone mentioning it before I could see it, because I wouldn't even phantom it, as they say. So, but the moment I saw it, I realized the role of dragons in my life, and the role of me as one of my past self, not past, simultaneous experience as a dragon is that's exceptional. Exceptional energetics, exceptional beings.
I am often curious when I am immersed in this genre, in these novels, how much is what we, I guess, call imagination versus what is actually channeling coming through, and we label it as fiction, as fantasy, as a very active imagination, almost similar in children too. You talk about all these things coming in as children, and children just allow it to come in, and as adults we're like, oh, that's cute, you have a very active imagination. um Almost like it's a safe way to channel. Sometimes I wonder that if we call it imagination, then it will be accepted by society more. But I'm curious how this has impacted you when it started coming through, and if you've ever looked at materials that are out there, or mythology as well too, that have these similar threads across the board, and think, oh my gosh, how can this culture and this culture and this culture that had no way of communicating at this time, there was no internet, how do they all have these similar mythologies? There must be something deeper going on.
Yes, absolutely. It's because there is something deeper going on. And I love how your question about what is imagination and what is a different reality, or another level of, or dimension, or whatever we can call it. For me, when imagination is, I think you have two kinds. One is which comes instantaneously as certain just knowing. For me, when it's a channeling of a different vibration, different reality, or different realm, connection to different realm, for me, there is a deeper knowing that this this is real. No, it's that there is no doubt. And imagination, it's not so far away from that, because I really truly believe that what we can imagine must exist already. You know, the pictures we are creating in our head, it's somehow you pick on other pictures which are already floating out there in the quantum field. You know, so there is certain existence, and who can again judge what is real and what is not? And so I would just say, I would encourage, anybody with big imagination, well, maybe you can start trusting what you're imagining, like, seeing what does it tell me, and not really doubting too much of, oh, this is something wishful thinking. We know very well when wishful thinking is coming into, we are pushing that wishful thinking in, like, I visualize this because this is what I want in my life to have. We know very well, okay, this probably is not the reality yet. I'm pushing too much. I'm working too hard on that. Again, not saying that might not happen, but when it comes more like in a flow, or when you have sudden images without any other continuity, it's like remembrance from different realms. And in meditation, or when you kind of train into connecting with either your dragon self or other realms, training is needed sometimes as well if we are too analytical and too based on what's right, what's not right. If we are judging our fantasy, then we need to train to allow it to become more part of our life, I guess.
And are there any specific techniques or advice that you would give someone that's in that process of learning how to trust, but finding it difficult because you are unraveling all of this societal programming? And I find sometimes this process of, okay, I can trust, and then you go back to the judgment, and it can be like a back and forth. Is there anything that you found on your journey that, as you've been learning to trust, made it easier? Or was it a practice that the more that you flexed that muscle, the easier it became over time?
I think I always knew since childhood, when I knew that there are other realities and other other possibilities out there in that sense. But regarding the dragons, it was easy for me with the UFOs and extraterrestrials, that I knew, okay, of course it's out there. And for me, it wasn't even a question. I just couldn't believe that people wouldn't even give it a thought that there are other beings in the universe. That was weird for me. So in this sense, that was normal for me since 6 years old. Of course, there are UFOs. Of course, there are other worlds. Of course, there are other me. Of course, so that was kind of stabilized. But with the dragons, there I was challenged. And when I saw this dragon, I had to actively, as you say, engage in that belief, or train that muscle of, because there was this distrust in my brain, my more scientific brain would say, okay, extraterrestrials are real, but dragons.
Funny where the line is, right? For everybody.
The real shift was when I actually realized, when I went within, so not really searching without and communicating with dragons, but actually went within, and I realized that part of me is a dragon. that I have, a dragon DNA. That sounds very weird to many, but we have different, part of DNA, extraterrestrial DNAs, and other beings from our universe and other universes as well. Most probably. So dragons, as the primordial beings, one of the first emanations of our universe. Well, I have that in me, and I connected to that part of me. And the effect, what happened with my body and my recognition was so grand, because I could feel the same expansion I had when I was sitting on that cherry tree. And I could see myself as the dragon, and I could see what is possible and why dragons are here and why they are coming, and working with us, because we are basically part of their creation in a way. If you think the cosmic flame, the cosmic breath, the encodings. So it was within me, and that's why I always encourage people to go within rather than without, rather than searching answers somewhere outside of you. Really searching them within, because we have all the knowing, all of whatever happened in this universe. We have it within us. That each proton contains the whole universe, holographically, the whole universe. We have that knowledge. We just need to trust ourselves. And trust is a decision too. I decide to trust myself, however stupid it sounds or feels. Why should I trust somebody else? Why should they know more than I do? I have access to the same information as they do. Why should I trust what other people are channeling through their filter of information, when I actually can channel it through my own filter on first-hand information?
Yes, absolutely. That you start pulling your power back towards yourself and within, and this beautiful human body that you were talking about being this antenna, and using that as your way of testing what is your truth and what's not. It gives you a different perspective on the gift of being human and the gift of being embodied, because I know a lot of people that are drawn towards quantum and energetics. They feel like, oh, I'm stuck in this, stupid body. It's dense and it's slow. And we forget all the beautiful gifts that the body holds.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's such a great point. We do forget. I was a first-hand example of forgetting and really escaping to the quantum and to, my dragon being and the 9 white sisters, before they came, because that was when I was younger, I was escaping. But more and more I started trusting myself and realizing that there are as many truths as there are human beings on planet Earth. It's then when I actually realized, well, there is a meaning why I'm incarnated on this planet, and it's not to escape out of it.
Yes.
It's to actually enjoy that experience as much as I can, and not giving it the negative victim charge, because I believe that is one of our consciousness upgrade or awakening, is to actually, if we have to use that word, but it's so, popularized. I'm trying to avoid it, but it's the growing into the awareness of that we can live here as on paradise earth. We can be happy together and have fun and joyous, and the pain and suffering is really just it's part of that experience. But at a certain point you don't have to anymore. You can just see it as part of that, and okay, been there, done that. I have right now I have I have a woman on weekly calls who just said exactly yesterday. She said, "I'm just so fed up with the story, the victimizing story. I'm bored myself. I'm boring to myself." And that's beautiful realization. Well, actually, I can shift that. Well, I'm continuously repeating that victim story on poor me and this and that. It's not easy, and it's not. What if I shift it? And I say every experience is actually a gift, and I can look at it from that gift point of view. So I'm pro joy now, but believe me, I used to be a big victim when I was younger. Why am I here? I don't want to be on this planet. The suffering, and nobody understands me, and I'm so different, and the family, they treat me this and this, and so I was there big time. I was playing the victim role so well. Oh, I was good.
Part of the process, isn't it? I think it's like you need to move through that and experience, like you said, that role,
Yeah.
that story, to move through it. And I feel like so many of us have been there, but to hear stories of you don't have to stay stuck there. It can be a conscious decision to change your perspective and move through.
Yes. And the timing is also significant, the timing, when and how. And so again, there should be no pressure. There should be no, again, judgment. Why can't I? Sometimes it's really difficult to drag yourself from that victim attitude. So just the less or the more we start accept ourselves also as that, the full aspect, I think the easier it is for us to see I can actually choose, and I can actually actively neutralize what is on that, the polarity I don't prefer anymore.
And then it opens up everything, doesn't it? It opens up so much more. Yeah. It's like you can only see what's here and in front of you, and then all of a sudden it opens up. And I'm a believer that we often need other people to reflect that back at us, because our stuff is so close in our face. Of course, we can't see anything around, and we meet these people in our journey that reflect back to us, and all of a sudden you can see at arm's length, and you can see further than you ever have, and it opens everything up. Like, wow, I didn't even know this possibility existed.
Yes, that the gift of the people in our world, the gift of collective. It's who would we be without others? We wouldn't experience ourselves.
I'm curious, is there anything that we haven't touched on today that you would like to dive into at all, Emilie?
There is so much, Monique, to squeeze everything in one episode.
It's like a taster, right? It's like an appetizer. We just get a little bit here and here, and
I feel like it's been a good taster of it all. And if there is anything that wants to come forth, maybe a later time, maybe we can have another chat But I think right now I feel complete.
I think that it's, like you said, it's beautiful, just like a little taste of everything. And then we can deep dive into so many things, but we need hours and hours to go into that. So this is the first course, and then we can keep going down further at another time. Thank you so much for being here. I've really enjoyed our time together, and thank you for going into all of these concepts and making it practical as a way that we can implement in our lives now and experience more joy now, that it doesn't have to be these vast, complicated concepts. We can harness this and bring this in and experience more joy right now, being a human in our lives.
Oh, I love how you summarize it. You're beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Monique. I really enjoy conversation with you. Thank you.
Welcome. It was great having you here. We'll see everybody next time. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Past Life Project. For more information how I can help you to access the wisdom of your subconscious mind to support deep healing and transformation, visit my website at moniqueglover.com. If you loved what you just listened to, please subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Until next time.